Jay Gonzalez. I do appreciate you guys joining me today. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. We have a great show for you today, folks. Let me tell you, this one here is definitely going to be controversial. I feel it's something that, one, I appreciate them submitting these topics, but two, it's something that needs to be discussed to get a better understanding. I know you guys watch other channels and hear it discussed their way and the opposite way, so we're going to try more on a more neutral basis with this one. So you know what time it is, folks. Let's get controversial. Topic number one is coming from Deborah Johnson from Northwest Indiana. And she wants to know my thoughts on biological boys competing in girls' sports. Deborah asks, what are your thoughts on boys competing with girls? Do you support it? Do you think it's okay for biological men to use girls' locker rooms, restrooms, etc.? Should they even be allowed in women's prison? Well, first off, thank you, Deborah, for having the bravery for submitting this topic. And I'm going to try to cover this the best way I can, in my opinion, okay? You got to understand times have changed, okay? Everybody's going based on, I hate to say it, woke policies. Is it okay for biological boys to compete against biological girls? In my opinion, just to answer it based on my opinion, I don't think it is. I think that women, especially little girls, have worked so hard in their lives, just to be able to compete, just to be able to have the same equal platform as men, especially when it comes to sports related. Okay? There's still, not that there should be, but I'm just giving you an example. There is no major league, National League football for women or something like that. So when it comes down to sports, these little girls, these young ladies, work so hard to compete at the top of their level. Some of them train for years. Some of them go to camps where they train. Their parents have invested numerous hours of taking their kids to practice, numerous money to put them in the best training centers, etc. Some of these girls went to high school and colleges on scholarships based on their performance. When you have a individual, a trans woman, a trans girl, in this case, that's been a boy her whole life, that grew up with male testosterone, that grew up with male bone density and male shoulders, male hands, male feet, male legs. Regardless, when they start taking the drugs to, whether it be puberty blockers or whatever drugs that they're taking, they will still have an advantage that the girls don't have. They would still have the strength. They will still have the speed. They will still have the stamina. A man's chest capacity is wider than a female. His lungs are bigger. You can't change that with drugs. So I'm not saying that trans kids shouldn't compete. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is that maybe there should be some type of, separate division for them, so that way they compete amongst each other. You got, for example, I believe her name was Leah Thomas, the swimmer, the trans girl swimmer. She was ranked in, 400 and something in the male league, only to dominate and win in the females swimming championship. And you don't find nothing odd with that or nothing wrong. Now, I know people don't want to talk about it because it's so controversial. people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of being doxxed, or they're afraid of the outcome that can happen. If you have a child and he feels like he is a woman or a girl, that's between you and your child. It truly is. When your child then wants to talk to you about trying to compete with the girls, and you knew he grew up as a boy, and maybe you're not as educated on the topic as it, and if you're not, you should be, because it's your child. But I think something as a parent, for me, I have kids, and I would, of course, encourage them to compete, but I would also let them know what's not fair. And clearly, if you're able to go from one league to the next, from male to female league, and dominate when you get there, and when I'm not just talking about swimming, in all the trans sports that's been going on that the males have competed, and the trans women have been dominating the women. From MMA to wrestling to you name it, they've been competing and winning, to track and field to swimming. It's not just a coincidence. It's how we're built. Men and women are not the same. Our body structure is not the same, and regardless of what type of drugs you put into that child or that individual, it's not going to change that. Sure, it might bring down a little bit of muscle mass or whatever, but you can't shrink the bones. You can't shrink your hand size or your feet size. So to me, I don't agree with them competing in sports. And comment below if you disagree with what I'm saying, or if maybe I should have covered it a little bit better. Again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just giving my own personal opinion on it. And the second portion of your topic you submitted, should they be allowed in the girls' restrooms or locker rooms? No. No. Especially if you haven't completed the entire surgery part of it. Look, you're trying to make a parent decide whether or not it is acceptable for a trans girl to change in the locker room knowing she has a penis still that hasn't had the surgery. So these girls have to be subject to seeing a penis for equality? For what? For wokeism? Fairness? It's wrong. No matter how you try to look at it, flip it, or whatever the case may be, it's wrong. So that's my opinion on that. And that goes for the same for women's prison. There's a case out right now that a trans man was put in a female prison and actually got an inmate pregnant. I think there was more than one. So definitely no. And again, that's my thoughts on it. Deborah, I do appreciate you submitting the topic. And if you like the way I commented on it, please comment below. If you think I should have said something different, or said something more, or said something less, you could also let me know that as well. So we're going to move on to topic number 2. And this one is coming from Rebecca Travers from Highland Park. Thank you, Rebecca. And she's asking, what are your thoughts on drag queens in schools? Is this acceptable or not? And what are your thoughts on giving children hormone pills and surgeries, as well as books and other curriculum in the student libraries and classroom? What have drag queens done to earn the right among our children? Thank you, Rebecca, for submitting that topic. And honestly, very well written. I couldn't have said it any better. Now let's get into it. Drag queens. Everybody knows, what a drag queen is, what they do, etc. In my opinion, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've had some security gigs in gay nightclubs. I've personally seen drag queens, the way they interact, what they do. And I will say this. For the most part, based on my observation of what I've seen, they do a lot of lip syncing challenges. It's a show for the most part. They sing a lot of songs, lip sync, they have a little contest, etc. But on the other flip side of it, there is a lot of sexual activity transpiring. Okay? There is a lot of tits and ass showing. A lot of adult, somewhat X-rated, definitely too X-rated to be for children to be among them. And now, there's actually some states that it's happened. I know Florida actually banned it from transpiring, but there's still some clubs in Florida that actually have drag shows that are family friendly, that allow you to bring your kids. There's videos out there of children putting dollars in some of these dancers, drag queens, thongs. It's wrong. Inside those type of places, it is very sexually driven. I've been to female nightclubs versus male, gay clubs. And one thing you see a lot more, men are way more aggressive. They're way more freaky. And what I mean by that is sexually freaky. I've seen guys kissing multiple guys or kissing one guy while holding the other guy, or three of them dancing together and everybody kissing each other and, just touching on their body. It's just extremely X-rated at times. So they are very much more sensual or sexual, or whatever you want to call it, in their clubs versus the straight clubs. So definitely putting those type of people that practice that art and having them read in classrooms, it does a combination of things. It sets the tone that it is okay for, honestly, a lot of these that do it as well are strippers, to be among children, to read them storybooks. Not to mention, it confuses younger kids. And it makes them believe, okay, that it's acceptable for this to happen, for a boy to be in a girl's clothes. My thing is, if it is acceptable, it's not your job to teach my kids that. It's the parents' job to teach them, yes, a boy can be a girl or dress like a girl or identify as whatever. When the parent is ready to talk to them about that, to have that conversation about that. So when you put them automatically in a school just to read storybooks, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure where the value for the child is coming from by this happening. What have they done to earn the right to be among our children? Is the last portion of our topic. Nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of gay people, I know some gay people that are good guys. And I know in this country, a lot of gay people have done a lot of great things. But a drag queen hasn't done nothing. So that's just my opinion on it. Comment below if you think I should have said something more, said something less, what your thoughts are on it. So we're at the end of the show, folks, and I do appreciate you guys joining me today on this special episode. And again, comment below if you think I should have said something differently. And once again, remember, you ain't living life unless life is controversial. Peace out.